Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OSL. We are going to be now on Scarlett versus Scouts. We do have the Scout School first is going to be playing on Mumbai, as Scarlett had agreed to letting Scouts play on Mumbai ping, as they do earn exit lag, and by our rule set, if the team agrees to the mutual agreement of the host going into Mumbai, as long as the team has exit lag, then they are willing to allow to play on it. Then they can if they wish. So Scouts is going to be on Mumbai ping, while the survivors are going to obviously going to Mumbai through their exit lag. The Scouts killer is going to be running Fresh Coffee and Satchel, so we're going to be having a leap speed increase by 14%, and Satchel is going to have that third leap be increased by 30% as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes, as we are going to be on a lot more ping than if they were going to be hosting on Singapore. But L5D is going to be having the build of Corrupt, Turn Back the Clock, Pain Res, and Eruption. So going to be doing his best here to try and find that first chase and get that first Kagune tag as soon as possible, as the more tags you get, the more often you can use your third leap. And right now we have Duck and Lemon both hiding out in the same area, and also Dage now is also hiding in the edge map as well. And the killer is quite close to Lemon. Lemon not going to be found out. Vish, Dage, and Duck are still hiding around the edge map. They do not want to get found, as soon as you get that first tag on the board, it is going to spell trouble for the Team Hunter.
Yes, sir. But we've seen this game plan being used before, Gohan, especially last night, where we had 2 ghoul sets and there was a successful stealth out, which allowed all 4 survivors to get on all 4 corners of the map. Unfortunately, we will not be met with that luxury today. As LV Duck does take the first chase, he is going to be utilizing Shack to full effect, vaulting the window that's laid out nicely for him on the out front of bottom mid. However, we've opted not to chase that and go and play our tag, spotting out Daig now just sitting in the middle of the map there. Just unfortunate stuff. They probably might even opt to go for a reset, but we're playing very aggressive on this middle gen here. Vish going to be caught out after pre-dropping that pallet, has gone down to bottom half of the map again, and that's 3 successful tags all in the span of a minute now, and that's going to prove to be pretty troublesome when we should have been playing a little bit more safely. And we're going to be utilizing the pallet here over at 7. It does go down, and we're going to be vaulting over it with the power in hand, but I don't think we make it around for the second time. Yeah, we're just going to be trying to greed that and bait out the swing, but ultimately it's just going to be the down onto Vish. And now you have 2 survivors in the trial, both injured over at top. 1 healthy, just slamming out pistons, and all of a sudden is looking like a world full of hurt. L5D is primed as he does take his traversability over towards the section of corner 5. He sees nobody, and then covering his ground to the middle of the map here once more, where we had found Vish very early on in the trial. We see nobody this time. We are just going to be trying to block that rotation and trying to press the survivors off these topside gens, but we have ventured a little too far away. However, this can potentially be a down, as we do hold up tentacles very patiently. We vault the pallet here after it does go down. LV Duck now in chase, has the cold buckets to be working with, and that is a turn back the clock value if I've ever seen it. Down goes the firecracker. We're playing around the pallet, dropped in all of its glory, and LV Duck is going to be going down after trying to back vault it, just crawling off into the distance. He's going to be picked up now, and we see the pull happen onto Vish there in the background, but it's negated all the pressure here over at 11 this chase has done. And even with this hook not being pain resable, we've already lost so much progression because of turn back the clock. The immense value from this build, it's getting its work in, and even though we haven't really got too much in eruption value, if not any at all, it doesn't really matter, because we have just obviously 2 perks to compensate for that. Turn back the clock's still up and running right now, and as we do just cover our ground here towards 2, we are just going to be taking that eruption proc, as we're not really too scared about the progression of this generator here, and we're not in chase, so we don't really have any real reason to use turn back the clock. But Gohan, have you saw or heard anything that I have not?
We have a loose 5 gen top.
That's, you know what, that's holdable for our killer, most definitely. It's pretty problematic when you think about it.
Oh my, yeah, because if you see there in the distance, you only have like the likes of 5 and 7 as our bot side gens. We have like top, mid, main, 9, 11, and 1. So if L5D plays this game to the T, I think we might be looking at a 4K4.
Potentially. I mean, it all depends if they can actually get on top of their game, which they're struggling to do so right now. They did go for a reset in the background, and they tried to go for a trade 1-for-1 pull. LV Duck now in chase after the slug happening onto Lemon. Does get caught on the walk here, but does manage to get a bite, and now has 3 dashes in hand. How the hell did that happen? My god, we are enraged onto LV Duck, and he has vaulted the window on the out front of main once more. Does have the likes of the pallet to be used here, but is on ping. Greeds it very nicely and has counteracted the movement of L5D. He stopped at the pallet again. Thank you, my lady. He does make all the way down to mid-10 and just greets the pallet once more. He's playing extra greedy. Does he do it again? A nice little swing coming in, but we're not going to be hitting through the pallet there because we haven't dropped it. Going for that lunge, and we know what Mumbai Ping can do to a man. As we do break away and go down to 9 with Bloodlust in hand, we make it. Bloodlust 1 in hand, we make it to this pallet. We make the swing, rather, onto LV Duck this time around. First generator of the trial procs, and we still have Lemon on the floor, which can be problematic. We need to get him up and running, and that's exactly what Vish is doing. It might result in a tag, because I don't know if we have time to run away. We might just, because the hook was a little too far out of our vision. L5D going to be utilizing over at corner 11. Another generator procking over at bottom. So it's time to flip the map, boys. We need to get our resets in, and we need to get that survivor off the hook for a crazy mid-game turn of events, you know, over into the middle of the map. You'd want to be having a pretty decent chase and ultimately dying in the bottom section of the map. That's an ideal world. This is the ghoul, so that doesn't typically happen, but it can, and it's ideal, but not always what actually pans out, Gohan.
Indeed, yeah, and yeah, as I thought it was going to be a 4K4, but if anything, the best result for L5D right now is a 4K3, considering his gen spread is so tight-knit to this top side of the map, and if it can play around this well, find Vish, get that tag, and then maybe interrupt this double up as well, that will be a very good boon for L5D and our killer. But right now, he is just trying his best to avoid being found. Right now, out of power, doesn't have a third leap there, so can't really utilize the satchel add-on. But now, L5D is just going to be trying to protect this with his life, as he knows, but no, we do have, oh wait, no way. The one dash, actually, okay, they've managed to get Duck off the hook by a bee's hair away, as Duck was on the cusp of actually dying if it wasn't for L5D not being able to get the tag just in time. But right now, we did see the next gen pop as well, so we are looking at a 4K1 best result possible for L5D, unless he can get sluggy with it and get all the downs in the trial. But right now, we have Lemon here as well, most likely going to possibly take it down for Duck, but unfortunately not going to be able to make it in time. So now L5D is going to be able to slug this and get the down onto Lemon right after. And we're looking like in the danger zone now, because now as soon as we get this hook as well onto Duck, we can then instantly go and try and find the next survivors, as we don't really have to worry about picking up Lemon right now, as we should probably be more so focused on trying to get that gen pressure on the board hunter.
Yeah, I don't think that was really necessary for Lemon to be trying to take that down for LV Duck. I don't even think he was aware of it after dropping the pallet there over at mid-9. It's resulted in Lemon down now up and at them after being picked up from one of our other survivors, Daig, who has tried to make down into 4-5 section the ideal place to be taking his chase, as there's nothing here for the killer to be working with. As the pallet does go down, it's pretty resource intensive. After we get that Kagune tag, we are just going to go straight back to our generators with 3 dashes in hand, and that can prove to be problematic, because since we're going to be trying to body block out one of these injured survivors off of their rotation after being caught at one of these far generators where there's nothing really to run onto, it will spell a quick and early down, unless they're going for a reset entirely, and I don't really know if that is the case. I don't know what the game plan is currently. As we do take the break onto this generator here, there's going to be eruption applied as opposed of saving our turn back the clock right now. So nothing over at 2 either. The game has stayed a little bit stagnant, so it leads me to believe that they are meeting up for some sort of a reset, and I think L5D has caught on to that fact as well. That's why he's just took his tentacles way down to bottom, and is really trying to sniff out who's within this area. As he does take the break over towards 4, he's just going to be scouring out. He's more concerned with, you know, putting pressure on the generators over at top, to where we see a killer instinct now. It was at a failed skill check potentially, not too sure what exactly that was, but it has dobbed somebody out in this area. unless it was like some wacky diversion play. However, it's going to be blood trails leading into the deep section of 9, and unfortunately for Vish, not really much to be working with. He's unzoned himself straight to the pallet here. This is an egregious tile to be working with, even on ping. Absolutely crazy. Winning all kinds of 50s. Does win another one as well. Loops around for the long side for the second time. Wins it again. You just kind of need to break this if you're L5D. Income in the mind games. Crouched at the vault again once more. Bloodlust, one in hand, goes down. It's typically how these things go. He was just bloodlusting him around the pallet for the entirety of that chase. And with Eruption in effect, we are going to be seeing the aura of Lemon, who's just hauled us down to middle. And L5D straight back towards 9, where we're going to be breaking all those resources that are troublesome for us in this area, and it's going to make the chases that are led here a lot easier to be dealing with. So no funny business for Vish to be running on after they are gone and dusted. If he ever comes off of the hook, he's going to be hooked over towards more so mid 10 just before the hill here. Here's a nice vantage point for our killer to be utilizing if he ever chooses to do so. But he's covered his ground all the way to down to 2, where potentially he can catch out somebody making their rotation towards the save or the middle of the map. Not too sure. Do see crows fly down in the distance, but I do believe they are L5Ds. However, we have spotted out Lemon, who's just played around the middle of the map, and after he's trying to bait out the Kagune tag, he has not done so successfully. He will be just getting hit no matter what, and he's just hauled us back to bottom again once more. That is exactly the kind of scenario that they're trying to put on in this game. They are trying to get, honestly, middle done, and that's it, because they know they're not going to be able to work with this 3-gen over at top. They can put pressure on it to divert the killer, but I don't think the plan was to ever get one of these 3 generators sitting here over at top done. It's always to get middle done. If you do manage to get a top generator done, I feel like that's just a blessing in of itself. We do see the double happening over at mid, and that's exactly what they were playing for. Tag goes on to Dage. Lemon's injured. You know, Vish on the floor. It's now looking pretty grim, considering we've caught 2 survivors just slamming out those pistons, and you know, one of them's on the floor over in the middle of the 3-gen. It's just horrible, horrible stuff. Nice greed there coming in from Lemon. Does so again effectively here and wins the 50-50 mind game. Does the pallet go down? It does. He wins the stun as well. Crouches around the cold buckets. CJ taking the big 2026 in a competitive setting. What do you think, Gohan?
Very risky.
I love it.
Very, very risky. I love the attempt. You know what? Don't knock it until you try it, of course. Obviously, he did try and unfortunately wasn't able to get it. But hey, you can't fault a man for trying. You never can. Unfortunately, on ping, I probably wouldn't attempt it on the ping. Maybe a little bit too risky for my liking, but hey, maybe Lemon trusted in himself more than I would trust myself to try and attempt that, so well played for Lemon. But unfortunately, that is going to spell the death onto Vish, and now Dage is the last one remaining in the trial, but he's going to opt to get hooked. Lemon is going to get hooked now. Dage is going to still try to sit on this gen, trying to get done, but unfortunately, so Pain Res does exist, and Pain Res is going to hit that gen and going to hit it beautifully. So now, L5D, now all he has to do is find Dage, and Dage has ran down to the boss side of the map. He's ran all the way to Shack, and now, as we saw in the distance, we did see the undressed Dage there. He doesn't have the shirt on with his Taeyong. So we are going to be chasing now, and we are going to be getting this last chase as well. But we are going to try and get the swing through the pallet, but Dage, too smart for that, is going to be able to get that pallet stun as well. But now, unfortunately, not playing around, that Vol is going to go down here. So there is going to be the 4K2 result for L5D. And then we're going to have to go to the Ghoul of Scarlett, which I can tell you now what the add-ons are going to be. It's going to be fresh coffee, so obviously you got the increased leap speed by 14%. But Scarlett has opted to run the Broken Chain, which, if you didn't know, it decreases the leap cooldown by 35% when not enraged. So ideally, you're more so playing if they're not injured,
2 health states to be lost from a survivor on the other side of the map, which just isn't realistic. It's not, because they'll always more than likely be in a more resource intensive area. You're on communication, so you know where those banked up areas are the best spots to be taking chase. You can pre-leave to be in better positions. It's just not an ideal world. So hopefully, just hopefully, again, maintaining the focus here is what we want to be seeing. We are playing the Ghoul though, so it's a little bit more tailored towards our favor, being a very aggressive killer. You can get multiple tags in the span of a minute. We saw 3 tags in 60 seconds last time around, probably a little less. And yeah, hopefully we can see this time around for Lemon's sake. However, more so just leading on into the Survivors gameplay recently has been very stealth-like as opposed to aggressive. And you've seen this time and time again. You saw the attempt last set, and you're seeing the attempt this set as well. And unfortunately, both times have not succeeded. Nice set of dashes coming in from Lemon, and that's his totem being broken in the background. No more ruin to be working with, but potentially we can get it down onto L5D. He has smash hit though. He's greeted the pallet entirely. He's going to be going down. It's a very quick down. That's exactly what you need if you're on the side of Lemon. There's absolutely no progression on the map. I don't even think anybody's touched the generator right now. We see scratch marks into mid, and we're trying to just bounce them off this chance of getting a pallet save. But wow, what a start coming in from Lemon, and he swung around the corner anticipating that somebody is just kind of crouching in the darkness. We're fighting our demons, but we do manage to get that straight off the rat survivor onto our shoulders and straight back on a hook here, Gohan.
Indeed it is, and unfortunately there was no one in the darkness, but we have decided to opt to go to the top side of the map. And Hunter, I want to point out again, we have another situation where there's only 2 gens on the bot side again. We have another 5 gen top.
Me.
Oh, wait, no.
Hold it.
Okay, no. I saw. Okay, no, we have 3 gens bot side. I just saw another gen. We're good. It's not as bad as it was for Scarlett, and unfortunately for Scouts, they do have 4 gens top side instead of having the 3, so they will have that extra chance. And there we go. Lemon is actually playing for those open ones, like I alluded to earlier before we did have to go into the switch around. But Lemon has opted to now activate his power, so he does now have 3 dashes instead of having those 2 dashes, but the cooldown is much more quicker. So he is going to try and mind game around this shack as well, and going to try and get the kidnap, but unfortunately L5D is just going to be holding it and going to be going all the way around, and unfortunately is going to be getting it well. But unfortunately for Lemon, he's not going to be able to get the M1 tag onto L5D. He is going to be able to get that vault for free. We do see Sultan is going to be picked up in the background. MRN did rotate for his pickup.
Good block.
Now, and and as you said, a very good block from Element, so going to be able to get that down for free. MRN is pumping away on that generator as well. Most likely Sultan is with him because we need that gen pumped and we need that gen popped as soon as possible, because then we can rotate the map and make sure that L5D can chase all the way topside. But we are going to be interrupting it with a lovely pain res. So we get the pain res in, MRN back on that generator as soon as that is done. But we have spotted out a survivor here, and we found Mill. Mill is going to be getting tagged here, so now Mill is going to be running down as far bot side as he can, as that is the best solution right now, because the gen's spinning top side. We don't want that to be done, so we have to run as full bot as we can. So right now in this situation, Lemon has to be able to get L5D off this hook as well, or they have to get the L5D off this hook, and then L5D has to die at least corner 11 or corner 1 as the best case scenario, as obviously that would be the new death spot, because all those gens are now bot side. And this is quite an interesting set now, because in this sense Lemon opts to either wait and try and get another tag and then get his power to 3 dashes again, or he can let Mill just have that regression onto his power and just get back his ability to use his broken chain, because the broken chain's effect is so much more stronger than people somehow sleep on. Because I personally like broken chain, because then you're opting more for more movability and traversability, but instead the only downside is you're obviously opting out of the 3rd dash. But I think that it's actually worth it in some sense, because then you get to use your dashes way more often and way more quicker. And in sets like these where you gotta have the distance to go and roam, having broken chain is just such a good boon. But now, unfortunately, Mill is going to be stopped here from the unhook. Unfortunately, going to be able to making it. And L5D is also caught off guard too, because L5D is still around this top side. But luckily for MRN, he is going to be unhooked, and now L5D is going to have to chase for his life here at the bot side. Doesn't have life in hand, so now Lemon is just going to be able to chase here, and this drop pallet is still here. So now he has to play around this for his life, and is going to be able to get it. Is he going to be able to get the window vault even on the ping? And he does make the window vault on ping. Doesn't have resilience either to protect him as well. So very fortunate for L5D that he had the distance as well, but now Lemon baiting out the pallet drop with that as well. Going to be going for the 1 dash and then also getting rid of it. Not going to go swing for the pallet. That honestly could have been a tag with the ping there, Hunter.
It could have been, and all of a sudden 2 generators are gone, and that means that, yes, Scouts will be taking away this first set here, Gohan. A couple things that I wanted to see differently. Again, I don't really know how they would pan out because this is all just kind of hunter brain at the moment. When we were just kind of camping out the remaining stages onto L5D, we probably needed to put a little bit more pressure on the generators on the map at least and force the pull, then go straight back down with the tentacles because you're the ghoul, you're pretty quick. At the same time, I guess we did get a trade for it, but we diverted. And we went for, I think it was at Mill in the end going for that pull that was injured. And we lost sight of our tunnel out for just that smidge of a second. We just probably should have continued on that chase onto L5D. And then, you know, if we had enough of game sense, I guess. I don't want to say he has no game sense. No, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. Maybe just like more knowledge of what was happening around us. Given our scenario, we could have potentially went back to main and cut off that generator that popped before our face. But then again, there was a lot of progression sitting over at 5 as well. So you can't really fault Lemon in any regard. He's still setting himself up for an amazing result as he does take the pick up here onto L5D. It's going to be the hook over towards middle, bottom mid. But there's a little too much progression on the map. And they're just triple on that generator. My goodness, that thing is going to be done and dusted, out of the way. 3 split going on here in the suffocation pit 1. Who do you want to chase up now here for at least the 7-3 results? It looks like we are going to be going for Sultan, who is currently injured, and we can be playing around the pallet here, swinging into a whole lot of nothing is Lemon, as he does try and play around the mind games. We are just going to be going down shortly after, and that's going to allow us to get on top of 2 exit gates right now, as we haven't really slugged and gone for any more pressure. We are kind of content with taking the remaining stages onto Sultan. To which Lemon just going to be, again, using those tentacles towards the middle of the map and really trying to sniff out who is within this area. And look, we actually went for a double on the gate as opposed to the split, so they're just out, happy, gone, out of the game. 7-3 result. Actually not too bad for the Ghoul. Not ideal considering the fact that we had a 4K1 tournament average alongside a...
Hello everyone, welcome back to Also. We have Scarlett on the killer now, on the unknown. We have the master of the unknown being LV Duck. He has been known to play unknown around the board and across the world. He is the man, the myth, the legend to play this unknown set for them. So, both killers are going to be running the Obscura game cartridge and the Footprint cast. Now, you may wonder, what does the game cartridge do? Well, after 20 seconds following a teleport, you get breaking speed by 30% for all interactions. So that may be kicking a gen, breaking a pallet, or kicking a wall, like everything. You get 30% speed on it. And then Footprint cast. For the next, after getting a tag with Survivor being weakened, your next hallucination will spawn 25% quicker. So he's going to opt to try and get as many tags as well as you can. But now, this situation is, how many stages do we think Duck can get? I would hope to see maybe a 4K1, 4K2 situation. But knowing how these teams can play, the score can vary, but Sultan is now going to be the first one in chase. Lemon is going to be vaulting right in front of Sultan, so Sultan is going to be taking that first UVX tag, and unfortunately, the lingering effect is not going to happen, and he is going to get that tag, and there we go. The first tag is going to happen, and the first UVX is going to be in activation. So, now, Footprint cast is going to be in activation now, so he's going to be able to get that next TP up much more quicker than usual, but Sultan has to try and loop around for his life now, and unfortunately going into that area is going to spell death, as you can't really dodge that as much as you would prefer to. But as we go into this now, we got Duck is going to be going over to this Pain Res hook as well, so this mid hook as well is going to be very dangerous for the survivors, and L5D is going to try and get as much progress as he can on this mid gen to avoid it getting hit to MRN all the way at 7. So well played by L5D to make sure that MRN doesn't get interrupted with his gen. But with that quick pull happening, we have the survivors are going to be ditching that hook and going straight for the main, and going to go try and get as far topside as they can. And Duck trying to hit through the wall there, suspecting that L5D, or sorry, Sultan was going to vault that, and he did. But now, thanks to Alert, he is going to get that aura rating, so now he does know where to go. And Sultan, you got to look behind you, bro. He's come around from behind. But Sultan does have this pallet here in main, so he's going to be able to try and use this to his life and try and play around it with the forklift as well. So, can he get this? But we do have someone here for the save, but unfortunately, it is not going to be enough time as we do not get it. Mill is going to be now taking probably a UVX tag, and we do see the generator at 7 as well, going to pop as well. MRN is going to probably join L5D on that generator, try and get it done as quick as possible. But no, he's going to opt to leave it. And L5D is going to be on his lonesome trying to do that gen. Mill was most likely going to go for a pallet save, and unfortunately isn't going to make anything. So now LV Duck has to decide where he wants to hook. Does he hook back in the middle, or does he hook on main? It looks like he's going to hook main, as it is a bit more favorable for him, as there isn't much the survivors can do to get up towards him, as it is going to be quite hard to try and stealth up into it. And now Duck gets all the sight lines he needs to try and do some pot shots at some cheeky gens and maybe get another clip like Quinna did that one time for the clips. If you rewatch one of those rewards that we had, Quinna did some amazing shots on the main as well. But right now, Duck is going to be using the turn back the clock. Mill is going to be hitting through that wall, unfortunately not being able to loop far away from it. So now he's going to be getting tagged for the UVX, and now he's going to probably get an M1 tag to follow that up with it as well. But now Mill is in a situation where he needs to be able to leave, but now Duck is actually opted to leave. So, and knowing that he's going to be able to get that, and MRN is not going to be seen, but L5D is going to get the For the People here play. So it's going to be very good for them. Sultan is now going to be full and healthy and going to be running down to 7 side, as that is probably his death spot and where he would like to go. So now situation at hand is L5D on the floor. We got Sultan in a very sticky situation, especially after that tag as well. But he does have Shaq to work with, Hunter.
He does have Shaq to work with Gohan, and we've evaded the UVX. They're mighty fortunate stuff for our serve. The pallet does go down, and he's going to be buying himself some distance all the way down to the 8 map, where hopefully there is not a teleport there for our killer to be working with. But I don't think there is. Granted, I don't think there's any on the map at all, other than the one we just planted over towards the Shack. As we do get our rotations in, we see a lot of gen progression happening on in the background. Pop goes the Weasel, literally the figure of speech, not the perk. As we do commence the chase back onto the 8 section of the map again once more. There is the hit take coming in from MR, and up and away he goes. Is our tunnel out? It makes down to 11 again. LV Duck still have to be working for this down. UVX goes out. Nobody's home. Pallet goes down, and I don't think Sultan makes it again for the one time. So very well done by LV Duck to get that down. Just happening before this generator here over towards the likes of 1, and this will be the 3v1 at 1 generator remaining. Both two survivors injured, all survivors injured actually. Someone's going to be healed up momentarily though, as I don't know anymore. We did go for a lot of pressure though. Look at that pressure over at main and 1. My God, we have to be extremely careful when the reset's happening right above us, and we have not a clue. Unfortunate, but there goes the UVX, and L5D not running into it in any capacity. So we do leave the chase entirely and try to go for this one here over at main. It's going to be Mill in chase now, as he does backvolt, wins the 50. Can he win the 50 again once more? Does have the UVX in hand. Is LV Duck going to be slapping that straight onto the likes of Mill? He is rotated towards 1, and he has nothing but a window here, so it is just going to be the UVX tag. Unfortunately, it does reset the timer as well, so up goes the UVX again for the one time. No, we're going to be zone breaking him into the corner of 1. This does mean that main potentially does get done with the double. I will say that. A nice little dodge here from Mill is going to extend this chase just a little bit longer. There's not even a double really happening. We're sitting over towards 11 with, nothing towards our name. The likes of L5D just sitting behind the cardboard boxes and the pallet, but it's the pallet you can't throw, buddy. Popping that pallet. Yeah, we don't really pop pallets, but we pop generators. And speaking of generators being popped, this one over at main. We're heading over towards 1 as well. So all in the meantime, while these weird shenanigans happen over towards 11, we could potentially just be slamming out all that pressure. And unfortunately, we don't play very aggressive. We are just going to go for the pull here. So we played it a little bit more safe. We've even broken the gen in the process. Now, I wonder, what is the split looking like? I didn't get a good look at it. MRN going to be preemptively dropping that pallet, anticipating that we'd be playing around at the 50s, but to no avail. We are going down, and this is Pain Resonance laid out nicely for us. A godsend from the RNGs just above. But as we do go back straight into the teleportation, over towards the backside of main, we spot nobody. Now, the reset didn't take into effect. We've gone for a 1-1 split, putting pressure on all sorts of different points of the map here. We do manage to find out Mill though, and he is on a full health state, so maybe we take this tag and then teleport straight back to the hook, potentially. There's no real reason to overcommit this. Yeah, there it is. Teleport straight back onto the case of 1 or 2, wherever the hook is realistically, but we do not spot out the rotation because I feel like it's a little too late to rotate 4. Maybe we even just slam it out main. Oh, sorry, mid, no, Shaq. Losing it a little bit, Gohan here, but what do you think is the correct play from here on out? That's a nice turn back the clock there as well. Huge stuff.
Yeah, indeed it is, yeah. So this situation is very grim for the survivors as he has sightline on this generator and he also has the sightline on that mid-gen as well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how they can play this out. And he does have a TV straight into Shaq, which L5D is going to be swatted out because of it. So now he has to try and figure out a way, and then we do see the second stage happen to MRN, and now L5D is going to be tagged from the UVX as well. So L5D doesn't have much really to work with here, as soon as he would to vault that window, it is going to be smell danger, and right now he is also going to be smelling danger as he is quite close to being down, and he is going to take the down. Unfortunately, Resi or Lyth is not going to be doing him any good, and that TP is going to be being placed and pooped out right in the middle of the map, and going to be going over to this side, going to be getting MRN, but trying to find MRN, but instead going to be going for Mill as he is injured. So right now in this situation, we got L5D is on the floor, Mill just about to be on the floor as well. But no, we're going to miss the M1. So he has a little bit more to play with, but unfortunately is going to miss again. That is $100 in Mill's hand for the M1 whiffs, but now it's finally going to go down, and we do see L5D is going to be picked up from MRN. Duck going to be taking the hook as well. Going to be hooking on to our main hook. Most likely going to be getting a pain res onto whatever gen had a lot of progress, but unfortunately, all that progress is now for naught, as that generator now is at 0. Now, Duck, knowing that someone is back on that main or on that Shaq generator, is going to be there instantly as well. So if L5D can play his check spots perfectly, he is going to be able to get away, and he does so beautifully. So he is going to be able to drop this pallet and then go for the greedy Lyth as well, but unfortunately he isn't going to be able to make much, unfortunately, because of the fact that Duck is right hot on his tail. So he isn't going to have much really to work with, and unfortunately is going to be slapped over that pallet thanks to that ping. So we are going to be seeing the reset happening onto MRN. So now Duck knows fully well where the survivors are, Hunter.
Oh yeah, and he's straight back over to the main building as well now, so this is looking pretty grueling for our survivors. What can they do in this position? There's not really much you can do, as LV Duck does just take vantage point here over at the main building. He has eyes over at 1, and he has the likes of main to be just seeing straight in front of his face, and he knows there's nothing happening over towards Shaq, and if there is, he has his teleport there. Which, happily, there is 2 that he can just kind of teleport to and, you know, take coverage there. So both Mill and Mill and MRN are quarter losses. L5D does go into the basement. I would think that maybe you have one play for this pool and one play for one, ideally in this scenario. Now, LV Duck has to simultaneously put enough pressure over at 1 and also put enough pressure over at the unhook as well, to which the way he does so is he walks over to 1, presses a survivor Mill off the generator happening here, tries to get a tag at the same time. This is what really needs to take into effect if you are really to take in maximum effort from this situation. Instead, he takes the break and straight back onto the case over at Shaq because we did not find him. Fair enough. That's the next best thing. But the best thing there would to be, obviously, to get a tag, which we're really still trying to bait out. We're not too worried about losing our tunnel out onto L5D. It's not really a tunnel out either. He still has 1 more health state to spare. We're really more focused on baiting out Mill. So I guess my game plan's all going down the toilet. However, Mill going to be playing around these 50s amongst the window very, very nicely. Does ultimately lose the 50 though, because it's a long wall and he's caught at a blind spot realistically. Does still have the UVX, and he does manage to get rid of it just before making the tile over at 11, and we're slamming out that piston over at Shaq. Straight back into the locker with head on prepped up and ready. L5D just slamming out the pistons. We're out of the locker again, working the generators. We've slow vaulted the locker. Hopefully our killer has not seen him, has not heard him. We do still have L5D over towards this section, more so using the check spot over at the boarded up window here, and we've caught sight of him now. My question is, when do we use this head on? When do we bait it out? Some nice pathing happening there from L5D, but that's a nice looking teleport, and that's going to be L5D on the floor. Wait, he's going to be crawling to the locker here. Can we get a locker save, maybe? I don't know. Does LV Duck even pick up in this scenario? He doesn't. He gets the eruption proc, and he knows that Mill is just happily sitting here on the backside of main. We're traversing up the stairs, trying to catch him out off guard. Only has one health state to spare, and it does not matter. UVX gets him down. LV Duck has another survivor out of the trial right now. L5D back up and running. Are they going to be slamming out that last Shack Gen, playing for the last generator? 4K0. Are they doing it? Hook happens here over at 2. Teleport straight back to Shack. How much progression has it got? Nothing. And we ran into the killer and gave him a big old smooch. How about that? But with a drop pallet here, oh my god, that was a nasty looking hit. My god. It seems like that hitbox actually lasted forever, but LV Duck going to be taking this break onto the Shack again. And trying to go for a little bit of a pot shot here over at the stairs, but it's not going to serve him any justice. He is playing around the wall though and can potentially spell it down onto our serve. All in the meantime, in the background, MRN honestly doesn't really know what to do in this situation. You don't have anybody else to help you out, slam out one effectively as a double. You have to bank on a chase going for hours, honestly. Nothing that we would ever seen in OSL. This would be absolutely incredible if L5D could actually last for the remaining generator, especially on ping. My god, that's a nice looking vault there, and a swing that means a whole lot of nothing. Really trying to get the UVX off there, but he has misjudged where the teleport had went, and it was still into effect. So ultimately, that will be the down. There will be LV Duck getting yet again another stage, and straight back on the case over at 1, I would believe, as we do just slam it out. This is the best possible scenario for our serves. Pain Resonance makes our survivor screen. We've heard him. We know he's over at 1. LV Duck's getting a 4K1 here, Gohan.
Indeed, he is, and very well deserved. He played this game immaculately and perfectly into his hands. So very well done on the side of Duck, as he is able to get this as well. We're going to be spotting our MRN as well. Very unfortunate, but that is going to spell the end game 4K1. So very well impressive for Duck. So now the other side has to get 4K2 to win, but it is all whether or not that the survivors can play this game. Hello everyone, welcome back to Scouts versus Scarlett. We are now on the second half. We have Sultan on the killer. We have Lemon, Vish, Duck, and Dage back on the survivor set. That is most likely the survivors we're going to be seeing for the remainder of this series. But now we're in this situation where they have to pop 5 gens to be able to still stay in this match, as this is a nail biter, as well as this will determine whether or not a team goes home or a team is continuing on in the tournament. And if Sultan is able to get a 4K2, that will solidify their spot to verse the next team, which is going to be Diamond Dogs. So we are going to be seeing Sultan is going to find his next chase, and is going to find Duck instantly as well. Duck being our previous killer, going to be tagged instantly. Very unfortunate. So that is going to spell danger as well. And Sultan is also going to get the UVX tag straight onto Duck as well. So Duck is going to be in quite the danger. And Hunter, I want to point out, we got one of Nozzy's favorite perks. We've got the batteries included. The bro swears by this perk and swears that this perk is an amazing one to use. And honestly, if he saw this right now, he would be very happy to see the perk being used. But right now, Duck is in a very sticky situation, so we have to get someone in for a body block. But we've got to miss the tag onto the body block. But in doing so, we're going to get 2 tags on the board, and not that much gen pressure on it though. But in doing so, it does prolong Duck's chase for just that little bit longer, Hunter.
Yeah, it does, and he's going to be just sending it down to the ice area where there's not really anything but that upright filler to be working with. We tried to send it to the stairs, and I think we actually do make this pallet here over to... Oh no, but what we don't make is that. That's going to be really ugly for our serves. However, we got some good gen pressure in the background there, so it doesn't really matter too much, and we spent a little bit too much time up and about, I guess. This could potentially be 2 generators done, but we opted to bring it down to a halt because we do have Lemon injured. So maybe there's no generators popping at all. We are going to be taking the break here over towards corner 8, and with Dake just stealthing around the nearby happens abouts. I don't really know if we're able to evade this yet. Ultimately, we're going to be getting caught in this situation because we didn't venture too far early enough realistically, it was always going to result in you getting hit. He was always going to find you. It wasn't a very safe location to be hiding. That's a nice looking pull coming in from Vish there, but it does spell the tag, and Sultan now just going to be following up with those UVX tags onto LV Duck, who does take one and run to the backside of main again once more. That generator over in the main building being slammed out right now, and that's another down onto LV Duck for a tunnel out happening so closely to what seems to be potentially 3 generators remaining in the trial. We're going to be trying to get rid of that teleport and then going for that reset, but this will give information to Sultan. He has his eyes on that point, and he'll know that's exactly where they're going for that heal, because where else would it be? Why would he check anywhere else? He could go back on his gen patrol, but I don't think he really wants to or has to. I think the next progress generator is actually unironically is over at 8, but you know what? We haven't even checked the corner of the map, even though we looked and saw our teleport dissipate for our very eyes. You knew somebody was in that area, so questionable, but you know what? We'll roll with it. Well, I'm going to be stealthing around there with just crouching. Somewhere off in the distance is the likes of Dage and Vish. Dage straight back on a generator over at 1. Vish is trying to meet him halfway as well. Or meet him to the full way, actually, I should say. But Sultan going to be hopping off of that main building and straight back to facilitating this camp out onto his tunnel out. Now, on a full health state is Lemon. He is the selected survivor ready for that pull, going for that trade. Does emerge from the half wall there and does manage to actually get the pull in front of Sultan's face. It's going to allow LV Duck to have just this one last final run, but has to make it last, has to make something of it. He's going to be leaving everything entirely because there's nothing to his advantage to be using. Does manage to vault the window. With life in hand, he's able to try and make Shack, but ultimately does not do so. He has evaded the UVX very nicely, but it's forced him into a section of the map where there's actually nothing to be utilized here. So again, really just trying to bait out these UVXs, but Sultan has to actually hit one, honestly. And as we walk into 11, we are met with a teleport. And we are on the floor here just before the pallet. No one to pallet save, because this is the location that you're taking Chase to be away from everybody in the trial so they can get Genza pumping a piston. Over at 1, 80% of the way done. Main about 60%, 70%. Sultan comfortably sitting in this position here, Gohan.
Indeed he is, and Duck is going to go down at 4 gens remaining. Now 3, thanks to Dage popping that generator as well, but it is looking quite grim as well, especially when Vish being found out right here as well. So I'm going to get another down here as well. Not going to get the pallet drop as well. So now it's a situation of, if Sultan finds Dage, that is going to be GG. So that's going to be very unfortunate for the side of Scarlett, but they will obviously try tooth and nail to get back into the game. But unfortunately, in saying that, Sultan has spotted Dage out, so unfortunately this is going to be the last chase, but in saying so, they still have to figure out where the survivors are, because obviously you can still bleed out the remaining survivors, but unfortunately their gens do come first, and unfortunately with Lemon's DC that will obviously incur a penalty, as you obviously do have to notify the team that is your match start before you DC, so unfortunately that will be a minor 0.5 penalty towards this set, even though it doesn't really change. Yeah. Doesn't, unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't change the outcome, but obviously you still have to inquire because that does incur penalties. But with that, it does solidify Sultan's 4K3, so that will be the 2-0 victory towards Scouts.